Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday evening. It is our migraine strategy call day. I'm coming to you a little bit early. We normally come to you on Thursdays for our migraine strategy call, but I have a very special guest with me this evening, and we decided to come to you on a special night. So I am hoping that everybody's jumping on live so that you can get all of the great information that we want to be able to share with you tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Debbie Waidl. I am a certified migraine health coach specialist. I am here in this group, on these lives, in these strategy calls to help you find ways to end your migraines once and for all without having to use all of those bandage approaches and just managing your migraines for life, because it doesn't have to be that way. And my special guest, Nikki, is here to share her insight on the same as well. So thanks for being here tonight, Nikki. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk with you and talk with your community about, different ways that they can naturally balance their hormones and, just start feeling good again in their bodies.
Absolutely. That is 100% why we were here. So before we get started, let me just give all of you a little bit of info on Nikki so that you know who you are listening to this evening. So Nikki Watts is a fitness trainer, a fitness and yoga trainer, I should say, a nutrition wellness specialist, a martial arts instructor who specializes in women's strength training, weight loss, and hormones. She is the creator of the Fierce and Fit Body Formula, the Hormone Reset and Rejuvenation Protocol, and is also a mom of one and an empath. She had her own struggles with hormonal imbalances and even had headaches and migraines years ago. And she is here today to share with you how she was able to balance her hormones naturally through movement, food, and working with her energetic body. We're going to talk about chakras today. I am so excited, and how she got relief and managed her symptoms. So, this is going to be a great talk. I know so many people were just dying to get on this call today. So I have one of my team members, Valentina, is hanging out over in the Facebook group. I'm just pulling it up really quick to make sure that we are all here and everyone can see it. So if anyone has any questions while we're chatting, please make sure that you dump them in chat. I'm going to do my best to watch, as well as Valentina is going to watch to make sure. There we go. Now I can see. So we make sure that we get everyone the information that they need. Look, everyone is jumping on. Hey, Valentina. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Charla. So glad to see everybody here. All right, so let's just jump right in. We talk about hormones so much in this group. I feel like sometimes it's a 4-letter word in this group. So most people in this group feel like they have some sort of hormone imbalance, but how can you tell? How can you really tell if you have a hormone imbalance?
So there's lots of different symptoms that can come with hormonal imbalances. And one of the very first things is gaining weight and struggling to lose. And especially if you've gained, a considerable amount of weight in a short amount of time. For example, when I was going through my weight loss struggle, one of the things that started to get my attention about my hormones maybe being out of balance was the fact that I gained 20 pounds within a 2-month period. Now, for some people, it can be a little bit slower, but it can be something that happens gradually over time. But if there's, you're doing exercises, you're eating healthy, and then you're still struggling to lose the weight, or you're finding that your body is accumulating excess weight or fat in certain areas, and no matter what you do, how you exercise, how much you eat, it's just not going away. That can definitely be indicative of hormonal imbalance. And especially if we have areas on our body where the excess just seems to go to. For some women, it might be the back of the arms, which that's indicative of certain hormones being out of balance. Same with if hips is an area that women tend to put on excess weight or fat. Same with the belly, that definitely can be indicative of several hormones being out of balance. Other things that we can tell from our symptoms that we're having is, having sleep issues. So sleep issues is a big one, and dips in energy, right? Just feeling low energy all the time, tired all the time, even feeling exhausted. This can definitely be hormonal imbalances that are at play. Cravings, and especially, if we're constantly craving certain foods like junk, sweets, fried foods, This can definitely be indicative of hormonal imbalances. It's also too, if we're having those insatiable cravings as well, where it's like we've just eaten, but then we're having a craving for something else again. So that can definitely be indicative PMS symptoms. So even
Yep.
though, we've grown up in this society thinking that, okay, we're just supposed to have, horrible cramps and, these symptoms.
Yeah, because
that
it's normal,
normal.
right? It's like our badge
Yeah.
of honor that we have to feel that way. But no, we don't. We don't.
No, exactly. And especially if someone's got painful periods or, the cramps are so severe that, the pain shoots down their leg or, just they have very severe cramps. And a lot of the other symptoms that come with PMS, right? Like the irritable mood, the anxiety, the low energy, right? This all has to do with hormones. And yes, there are hormonal changes going on in our body when we are on our moon and we're menstruating, but we shouldn't be feeling them that intense where we have to take a day off of work. Headaches and migraines can also be associated with our moon time as well. And when that's a symptom, when we're having that before, say, our moon time or our menses, this can also be indicative of certain hormones being out of balance. For example, excess estrogen or low progesterone can be some of those hormones. Inflammation can also be something as well that can contribute to hormonal imbalance. And there's also symptoms of having inflammation, one of them being headaches, migraines, right? So this is definitely something to, become aware of as well. Digestive issues. So that's another one. So having digestive issues, so nausea, having like constipation, diarrhea, those type, even belching can be a symptom of hormonal imbalances. It can also be a sign of other things too. So we want to be mindful of that as well.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing as you were going through this list that there are so many people that are like, yep. I mean, I kept nodding my head because I was thinking back to when I was having migraines and when my body was in such dysfunction. I'm like, that was me, and that was me, and that was me, and that was me, and that was me. So I'm very curious. There's a whole bunch of other people that just popped on too. Charlotte just popped on, and Robin and Susan and Nicole. Hey, Nicole. Ladies, tell me, how many of these symptoms are you feeling? Or tell me what symptoms you're feeling, because I'm sure that many of you were nodding your heads, and I'd be curious to know what it is that you were feeling. So, all right, so we have all these symptoms. We know that we're feeling these things. How can we possibly balance our hormones naturally, right? We go to the doctor, and what is the first thing they say to us? Well, you're in perimenopause or you're in menopause. This is normal. You should be feeling this way. You have kids, you're busy, you're working. How about we either put you on the pill, or how about we start talking about HRT, right? That's what we typically hear, especially for migraines and especially for my women who are in the UK. This is really big right now, using HRT to try to stop the migraine pain. But what can we do instead? There's got to be a better way than using these cover-ups, right?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to become aware of is that any kind of things that we're putting into our body, especially with medications, we should be, first of all, asking that doctor, how long will I have to take this medication for? Because when we have those medications long term, there's side effects that can happen. And, the long-term use of certain medications, there may be studies, there may not be studies, but for some of those that there's not studies for, still the side effects may be not known for the long term. A lot of the medications, though, do get filtered through our liver, do get filtered through our kidney, and long-term use can actually cause things like liver failure, kidney failure. And, we need those vital organs just because they actually do so much for our body.
Absolutely. And I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't want to forget this. There's one thing about testing that no one ever thinks about, right? When they do testing to figure out the long-term side effects, no one ever does testing with groups of medications together. So
that's true.
If you're put on a migraine medication and you're put on HRT and you're put on something else, maybe that one medication wouldn't be too terrible for you, which I still don't believe anyone should have medication for life unless it's replacing something you're missing. But has anyone ever done a study on these three together or these three together? And that's where the problem
Yeah.
lies, right? Because now you're expecting your liver to not just take care of one, but to take care of a couple. And I would say the majority of the women that are in this group right here, we're almost 5,000 strong now. I would say the majority of women are on 3+ medications, with a very good portion being on 7.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very crazy. I remember when I was in my young 20s and my girlfriend had got put on 10 different medications.
Yeah.
We were 20 at the time. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're
nuts.
sure you're supposed to be taking that many medications? So
Yeah.
the good news, even though, there is these medications and we can use them temporarily,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the good news is that there are holistic things that we can do to start bringing our hormones into balance. And, one of the best ways, first and foremost, is through movement. So there's different types of movement that can definitely help with balancing certain hormones. There's even hormone balancing movement. This is why I love yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong, because it actually works on your energy centers and your energy through that way, which can be very relaxing. So
Mm-hmm.
that can definitely be a bonus, because stress is one of the number one causes of disease. It's also one of the reasons why hormonal imbalances happen in the first place.
Yep.
So anything that you can do to de-stress your body, but especially just get the energy moving, right? So yoga, qigong, tai chi, these are some really good healing arts and healing movement that you can use as medicine, if you will, to, bring your body back into balance. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing too is, getting in some resistance training throughout the week too. Now, sometimes with headaches, it could be due to, tension up here as well. So we want to be mindful of whatever movement that we are doing. Any kind of exercise and movement will be good for you, because remember, it is moving the body. You're moving the energy, whether it's cardio and you're just going for a walk and it's, you're going for a walk in nature or a walk down your street, at least you're getting your body moving, you're releasing some of that stress. So exercise is really good at lowering cortisol. There are certain types that are really good at lowering it completely, so that it's you have more of that releasing that stress effect. So if you've already been stressed, sometimes going into cardio or resistance training might be too much for you. If you've had a very stressful week, maybe some very stressful situation happened, sometimes it's good to come back to, your yoga or, something that's a little bit slower movement.
Yep.
So that you can bring yourself back to that balance. But all exercise will help you balance your hormones. So this is one of the best ways we can do. Remember, movement is medicine, and it's definitely something that, we can actually do, with ourselves, and,
Yep.
also do it in a community setting too, if we need that support from others. The second way that we can balance hormones is by doing a hormone reset. So basically you can do this through food and movement. And what you want to do when you're resetting your hormones is you actually want to start to detoxify the liver. So especially for us women, when our liver starts to function at a lower pace than what it should be, or it just starts to get sluggish, this is where we can gain weight. This is where other symptoms, we end up having other symptoms, maybe other health issues come up, like digestive issues, severe PMS or premenstrual symptoms, right? And the more that we can actually clean and detox our liver, the better that our health will be, but the better our energy will be, and the more that we can actually bring our hormones into balance. Now, there are certain foods that are very specific to certain hormones. For example, if and I'm just going to mention about excess estrogen, where, if that is something that, that's out of balance for us, and there's certain symptoms that, we can tell that where it's out of balance, right? For example, if you put a lot of weight on your hips, and it just goes to your hips, no matter how much you're doing leg exercises or you're walking. One of the things that you can do is you can either supplement, or there is foods like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts that you can start adding into your diet. And you can basically detox yourself using food, right? liver, for example, you can use like lemon water or peppermint water. That can also help. Milk thistle is another good one that can also help with detoxifying the liver. There are different hormone reset protocols too. The one that I have, I do it through food movement and body energetics as well, where we're actually working on the chakras, because each of our chakras is also, and that brings me to my third way that we can balance our hormones, which is working on our chakras. So each of our chakras is actually related to different hormones. So we have 7 chakras altogether, and each one's related to different hormones. And we'll definitely touch upon that in a moment.
Yep, absolutely. And I would love to jump into those. I just want to make sure we don't miss a few things that you just talked about, because all of that was such gold. Hey, Maggie, got a couple more people jumping on. So we use the Migraine Freedom Protocol when we work with any of our clients. And one of the big things that we talk about is movement stabilization. And I loved how you said you need to determine what the right movement is for you in that moment, at that time. Because I think so many of us get so focused on, okay, I got to do P90X, or I got to do kickboxing, or whatever the latest thing is, right? I've got to do, Orange Theory or whatever, that seems to be big in my area, the gym. But what if you're doing that and that's actually causing you more harm than good in the day? So we talk about, needing strength training, stretching, and cardio, but choosing when that's right for you. And as long as you get a balance of those things in your world, then you're doing it right. And cardio could be, like you said, it could be walking. It could be running.
Exactly. Yeah.
It depends on what you need.
Yeah. Could be swimming. Could be
exactly. Exactly. And trying to find things that you like, and trying to vary what you're doing, because, it's just like food. You don't want to eat the same foods all the time. You don't want to do the same exercises all the time that are hitting the same parts of your body. But I think that we forget about some of these things, right? When we talk about nutrition, or if we talk about health and getting better, we always focus on nutrition. Everything's about what we put on the end of our fork, which is important, but you can't just eat yourself to health. You have to move as well. You have to sleep as well. You have to de-stress, which is the other thing I wanted to make sure everyone heard about, how the focus you put on stress relieving activities. We just did a whole summit on this last year, because we know how important it is. We know stress causes more inflammation than a lot of inflammatory foods. And if we just try to piecemeal our health together, that's what we're going to get, piecemealed health. We need to focus on all those areas, which is why I love the fact that we're about to dive into talking about the 7 different chakras, the areas, and how they relate to hormones, because it does give you more of this full body functional approach that we're talking about, versus this cookie cutter conventional approach that looks at your liver in isolation, your head in isolation, your hormones in isolation, which doesn't work. If it worked, 5,000 people wouldn't be in this group. You wouldn't have all the people in your group. Everyone would be happy and healthy. And our goal, ladies, just so you know, everyone watching, our goal is to empty our groups, because you're all healthy. That is our goal. That would be our ultimate dream, and we could go support you to do fun things. So that's why we do these things, these talks, so that we can help each one of you, one person at a time. So, all right. So I don't keep talking here, and we make sure we don't run out of time.
No worries.
Let's dive into the chakras.
So one of my favorite things to talk about is chakras. Since I've been learning about the chakras, it's been a little bit of a journey for me myself. I first was introduced to it in 2009, when I went for my nutrition wellness specialist. Had no idea what a chakra was, no clue, just first time introduced it. But as soon as I heard about them, I was instantly drawn in. I was like, ooh, what are these? And it was kind of interesting how they related to different things in the body. Now, back then, how I was introduced to it was through a meditation in that course. And even though it was just a meditation, it was interesting how I actually felt the chakras as we went through them. And certain ones, I could feel were off. And then years later, once I started becoming, certified in yoga, once again, I'm getting reintroduced to them, and it was, time to start journeying down them. So what's really neat and really interesting, so when we think about fitness and we think about our health, we're just thinking about our physical body a
Mhm.
lot of the time. We're not realizing there's a mental aspect, there's an emotional aspect, and there's even a spiritual aspect. So what's cool about the chakras is that when we're working on these chakras, we're actually not just working on our physical body, but we're working on our mental, emotional, and spiritual body as well. And they are very much connected to our hormones. So we have
Mhm.
the root chakra, which is at the base of our spine. I totally forgot my chart, but that's okay. So the root chakra is at the base of the spine. You want to, it would be like where your tailbone is. And then it's more associated with the legs, especially the like top of the thighs, the outer parts of your legs. So if you're feeling any kind of like tension or pain in there, or it has a lot to do, for example, with certain symptoms like constipation, right? This is how you can tell if that chakra is out of alignment. Now, what's really interesting is our root chakra has a lot to, it's connected to our adrenals, which our adrenals, they dictate, that flight, fight response, right?
Yep.
So when we're constantly in a state of stress, a lot of the time we're up here in our head, the energy's up here. And, when we are up here and we're feeling that stress, we need to actually do things that are more grounding. And there's certain poses too in yoga that can help with that, like seated positions, seated
Mhm.
meditation can definitely help, but any kind of stretches that stretch the leg can also help, the glutes as well. Now, when we work with our root chakra and actually start to bring it into balance, our root chakra is, if you think of your chakras as spinning wheels or discs of energy, they go, sorry, I'm probably doing it backwards, but you
It's
want it to,
okay.
there we go. It was only because it's, so clockwise is how it should be spinning. When it's spinning counterclockwise, this is where, it can be out of balance. And, with our root chakra, it's connected to our adrenals. So if we're stressed all the time, we're constantly in this state of going, doing, and not really allowing ourselves downtime or self-care time that we need, chances are, we're going to have like those digestive issues like constipation. We're going to have maybe pain in our hips and our legs, right? But when we bring this chakra into balance, we can start to, heal these other illnesses or conditions that are going on in our body. Now, root chakra is very much connected to our adrenals. The next one up, it's just below your navel. Sorry, it's just below your navel, and it has to do with your sacral chakra. It's called the sacral chakra, Swati. Sorry, I really make a mess of it.
It's
Sorry, there's
all
a
good.
Sanskrit name for it. And anyways, it's connected, it's your sacral, it's connected to your testes and your ovaries. So estrogen, testosterone, these are the hormones, also progesterone for women, right?
Mhm.
When especially a lot of women do deal with cycle issues, do deal with
Mhm.
low libido, do deal with, you know, maybe fibroids as well, and
Yep.
especially when we hit certain stages, we do go through those hormonal changes, as we're hitting certain stages. And if it's already out of balance, that's where we can start to feel those, PMS cramps more often. We can have other things crop up like UTIs and,
Mhm.
painful periods, right? PMS symptoms. So by bringing this one into balance, this can actually help, it can also help bring a libido back, especially when you really focus on, if that's your intention, you really focus on balancing that chakra. That can help bring the libido back. Can also help with balancing your estrogen, your testosterone, and your progesterone. Now, of course, we want to combine this also with healthy diet and exercise. It's not to just
Mhm.
say we're going to light up all our chakras and then go eat bad or
Right,
just not our
exactly.
bodies, right? So we definitely want to still combine this with diet and exercise. Then the one that's just above that, it's a yellow chakra. You can think of it as like a golden yellow energy. and it is our solar plexus. So this is a lot to do. It also is connected to adrenals a little bit, but more so it's connected to insulin. So if you have digestive issues, you have cravings, you have, insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity, this is a chakra that would be good for you to work on. And actually, a lot of people who've gone through stress and trauma in their life, the first bottom three may be out of balance. And that might be why sometimes it might be harder for them to stick to a diet or an exercise plan, or, maybe a health regimen too, is because if this is out of balance, it may be harder for them to, make those decisions that they need to. It might be easier to like give into their impulses, their cravings. So just by working on these three lower chakras, they can bring that back into balance, but also have more than just willpower to help them make better decisions when it comes to their health, and especially food decisions. And it'll definitely improve their energy. So our solar plexus is also related to our energy. It's related to the liver once again. So there's certain organs too that are related to these chakras as well. And especially with the solar plexus, it's the liver, the stomach, I want to say pancreas. I think pancreas is actually with the sacral as well. So some of them kind of intertwine, right?
Yep.
And it's funny because all of our systems in our body, we can't isolate them, right? So going back to what you're saying about the isolating, how like Western medicine tries to like isolate different things, like they're not connected, and then they're just patching the symptoms. Whereas if we understand that all these systems in our body actually work together, and it's not just working on one, but continuously working on our whole body, this is where we can bring it back into balance. So the next one above is the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is kind of like our center, and this has to do a lot with our lung health, energy, energizing our body. If somebody has like allergies or lung issues, this can be related to both the heart and the throat chakra. So there's certain lung issues that can be definitely related to the heart. Any issues with heart, of course, stress can definitely affect our heart as well. So we want to be mindful of that. And when it comes to our heart chakra, that is related to our thymus gland. So our thymus gland has a lot to do with our immune system. So that's the other system that our heart is related to, is our immune system. So we want to keep it well. We want to, just by doing things for our heart chakra, like back bends and yoga, any kind of stretches to open up the chest here, even doing things like push-ups will get that circulation to that area. Upper body workouts will also help get that circulation to that area as well. And I forgot to mention, any kind of lower body exercises will help with the other ones too. Going to the throat chakra, that is connected with our thyroid. So when we get stressed, one of the things that chronic stress and constantly going and even trauma can have an effect on is actually our thyroid. So when we're in constant stress, it can actually lower our thyroid. And I remember years ago when I put on 20 pounds in 2 months, I went and got the blood work because I was like, something's not right here. And I know that this is not normal. This is not normal for me, especially most of my life. It was hard for me to put on weight. All of a sudden I put on 20 pounds in 2 months. That's not normal. So when I got the blood work done, definitely not, right? So my doctor said, oh, I don't know why you needed to get tested. Everything came back fine. And I'm just like, no, something's not right here. So it was actually my thyroid that had taken, I had taken a birth control shot. So going back to the birth control, so I'd taken a birth control shot. It puts progesterone into your body, which affected the, those cycle hormones. So your progesterone and estrogen, there's definitely a relationship with them. And when one becomes off balance, the other becomes off balance. Little did I know that all of them were going to become off balance. And it took me a while just to, get my hormones back into balance, but I did it through the food, through the movement. And over the last, I don't know, I'd say several years, I've just definitely been doing like energy work to improve those chakras, but also to improve those hormones. And my metabolism's back where it should be, which is amazing. And it didn't take me quite as long to get it back to where it should be. I thought it might not ever go back when this all started to happen.
Mhm.
But our thyroid is connected to our throat chakra. So the more that we can do, you know, even movements that it doesn't necessarily have to be movement, like we can even access this through meditation, just visualizing, you know, that blue spinning disc going in a clockwise motion. And, you know, especially when we put our intention behind it, you know, this is something that can help balance this hormone.
Mhm.
There's also certain movements like plow, there's jaw lock that can also help with activating and stimulating your thyroid gland. There's also some reflexology things that you can do with your feet, and oils that can also help with activating certain hormones throughout your body, but especially your thyroid. So there's lots of different things that you can do, even cat and cow, lion's breath, dog's breath. This can actually help with stimulating that as well. And then here we come to our third eye. So it's called ajna, and it is our, if you want to think of it as your spiritual eye, right? And a lot of the time that is blocked for a lot of women and a lot of people.
Mhm.
It's also related, sometimes if it's blocked, it's related to migraines and headaches as well. So this is a very important chakra for everybody here in this group. All of them are important, but
Mhm.
this one especially, just because it does relate to migraines and headaches. And it is related to melatonin and serotonin. So one of the things with migraines and headaches, one of the hormones that might be out of balance is also low serotonin. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Just for just a mental note, just to keep note
Mhm.
of, there are ways to find out if your serotonin levels are low based on the symptoms. And with the third eye chakra, we can actually access this. It's easy. We all have these abilities. A lot of people don't think they're intuitive, but you know, we have a gut brain for a reason, because we actually all are born with intuition. And the more that we can start balancing the third eye chakra through, you know, meditation, through
Mhm.
movement. I mean, one of the ways I love activating the third eye is like going down in child's pose and just like rubbing my forehead along the floor.
Who
Or
doesn't
if
love
I have like,
child's pose? I'm sorry. That is
yeah,
like the best pose ever.
it
And as you're
is, it is.
finishing up, I don't want to forget everyone who's watching, because you're getting so many comments here. Do me a favor. When you're
Yeah.
hearing something that is really resonating with you, give me a reaction, give me a like, give me a heart. Let us know that this is making
Oh, that's
sense to
awesome.
everyone, just so that we can make sure that we are bringing you the information that you need. This is just mind blowing. I think this is all amazing that we can talk about just the whole body and how it all connects. And before you finish up on that, I just want to hit on serotonin fast so I don't forget. We
No
know
worries.
that so much of your serotonin is created in your gut. We know that most of you in this group who have migraines have gut issues. Whether you think you do or not, I haven't worked with one person yet that hasn't needed some work on their gut. So when your gut is not working at 100%, you're not creating the serotonin that you need, which, hello, is
Mhm.
exactly what we're talking about. So I wanted to make sure that everyone has that connection, especially those that are
Yeah.
working with me on the Migraine Freedom Protocol. You hear me talk about this all the time about how we need to focus on our gut, ensure our gut is healthy so that the rest of us can be healthy. So amazing. Hey, Cheryl and Aaron and everyone. Oh my goodness. It's so good to see everyone. Susan Elizabeth. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. I'm so glad that you could all jump on and be here live for this call. Again, pop your questions in. We're going to try to wrap it up soon. So if you do have questions, now's the time to ask them. And I'm going to let Nikki finish up. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but there's so much
No
good stuff. I
worries.
want to make sure they get it all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool, because like there's such a big connection there. And especially too, if someone who has headaches, has sleep issues, your serotonin, when it becomes nighttime, that serotonin gets converted into melatonin too. So if you're ever having sleep issues, you know, part of
Mhm.
it could be, like she said, gut issues, right? If you have the gut issues and you're having sleep issues, the 2 and 2 are going hand in hand because your body's not producing enough serotonin. So the melatonin can definitely help. So can doing, third eye meditations, working with the chakra as well, just to help bring that back into balance. Remember to work on all your chakras though, because it's not just bringing one into balance. It's about working on all of them and bringing them all into balance. Okay. Last and final chakra, we call it the master gland or the master chakra, because it is pictured as a 1,000-petal lotus leaf. So if you think of your body like a flower, and then there's this like 1,000-petal lotus leaf as your your 7th chakra, which is, we call it sorry, I don't know why I'm forgetting the name. There's third eye. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the name?
It's all good. You know what we can do? We're going to shoot it in chat later so that everybody has it. And maybe we can even shoot a photo or something in there so that everyone has all this information.
I remember now.
There you go.
Crown chakra. So it's our master gland. So you have your pineal gland, and then you have, your pineal gland, which sits a little bit higher, and then you have your pituitary gland, which sits a little bit lower. And that pituitary gland is connected to your crown chakra. Pituitary gland is master gland of several different chakras. So it makes about several different, not chakras, hormones.
All good. It's getting late, everyone. Just so all of you know, we've all been working all day long. So we're allowed to miss a few words here or there.
Exactly. So your pituitary gland creates several different hormones in your body. So dopamine. It also helps with a lot of the other hormones that I mentioned before. So when this is off balance, this can create a lot of imbalances throughout your body, including your hormones. So we want to, of course, like I said, always work on all of our chakras. If we're doing a meditation or a yoga practice, the cool thing about yoga is when you're doing it, you're literally working on sometimes several chakras at once in certain poses. So you could just do a yoga flow and you're actually activating all the chakras, right? Same with a meditation. Now with a meditation, if you're doing a morning practice, you probably want to start from the root and go to the top where your crown is. And if you're doing a nighttime practice, start from the crown and then go down if you're doing a meditation practice.
That is great to know. I would not have known that. So that is super helpful information. And you're getting a lot of love over here. Cheryl says, love this. So you are definitely resonating with so many people. That in itself, just going through the chakras, was so much information that I know is going to be so super helpful to everyone. As we wrap up here, when somebody has migraines, is there something specific that you think that they should be focusing on with the chakras? Like, I know we talked about it all, and yes, it's all important. And I talk about this all the time. Like when someone says they want to get migraine freedom and they want to change their diet, how I already mentioned, you can't just focus on diet. But is there some little takeaway that we can give them, something that they could kind of be knowing they need to work on to really help dial in with the chakras and their migraines?
Yeah, like first and foremost, try to get rid of stress as best as you can. There's always going to be stress in our life, but if we can try to reduce stress by doing maybe some some of the slower relaxing movements that, for example, yoga, right? And that can be something that you can start with that can actually help you start working on your hormones and your chakras. Now, when it comes to headaches, there are certain mudras that can help. And I did give my girlfriend one and I totally forgot which one it was. And I didn't bring my mudra book over here, but there are certain mudras that can help. There's also certain herbs that may also help with it as well. And one of the things you can do too is reduce inflammation. So ways that we can reduce inflammation. So like trying to cut out sugar, staying away from like caffeine, alcohol as best as we can, it's hard because it's the summer and, people do want to get together for drinks and stuff. So that one might be a little bit hard, but if you do end up having alcohol, just try to replenish with water so that you can get it out of your system, and, just do some of your inflammation reducing practices the following day, or even later that night if you've just had like the one drink and you're like, I'm just gonna do this. Another thing that can help reduce inflammation is turmeric. Milk thistle is also good for reducing inflammation. It's also good for detoxing the body as well. So these are some things that can help with reducing inflammation. I would probably start there when it comes to like the nutrition, just things that reduce inflammation, removing processed foods out of the diet as best as can, watching foods that may be a trigger. So there may be certain foods that may be a trigger too. So I would definitely start with what you're putting into your body. And, going into like some of the movements that you can. I mean, one of my favorite movements for decreasing stress is literally that child's pose where you just go into it, and, you can rub your head along the floor and, just rub this part, and it can actually help to activate that part. Also doing some kind of self massage may also help too. So just kind of hitting the back of the neck, doing neck stretches as well. I had a girlfriend who she's actually been experiencing really bad headaches and migraines for some time. I didn't even know that she had been going through this, and we were supposed to train together, and she's like, I'm having a really severe headache and migraine. And I'm just like, okay. I'm like, do you need to reschedule? And she's like, no, I rescheduled last time. I don't want to miss it. I can still do this. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of did a little bit of, we did like a yoga flow that was very much focused on just reducing tension from the head and neck. So we were, doing certain poses. I even modified certain ones for her so that there wasn't extra pressure here on the back of the neck. Yeah. And just, loosening up the neck, So like different stretches can help with this. For example, like neck and trap stretches, or, just kind of grabbing the floor, tilting your head to the side, hand to the back of the head, just doing certain movements like this can actually help with just decreasing some of that tension. And then, just doing your best to decrease the stress and reduce the inflammation. I would definitely start there.
I love it. I love it. And I can't tell you how much I love ending on the inflammation note, because that is our main focus in this group. Our main focus is on reducing the 6 key areas of inflammation, because we know that chronic inflammation is what is driving the migraines. So everything you just talked about are parts and things that we work on in our protocol, obviously going into depth, a little more so depth with some people, but chronic inflammation is the driving force to all disease right now. We know that. So to really start honing in and focusing on the things that we can change on a daily basis to make us feel better is key. And we have so many of our clients on here watching right now who I know would 100% agree that just by reducing their inflammatory load, they have gotten their lives back and they found freedom. So, Nikki, we could go on for like 5 more hours. I have like 50 million more questions I want to ask you, but we're going to call it here because I want to make sure that everyone can be actionable and go back and watch this again and really grasp everything that you've had to say. Nikki was going to share a little bit more. We're going to dive a little bit more into yoga. So maybe we'll see if we can talk her into coming back at a later date and doing a little bit more on that subject. So if anyone's interested in having Nikki come back and do some more talking with us on yoga, comment Nikki below. And then I'll know that this talk really resonated with you and you're going to be super excited to have her back. Also, if there anybody who's watching this on the replay and you have any questions, just pump the questions in there. We will make sure I will either answer them. I'll make sure they get to Nikki. We'll make sure that you get the information you need. Plus, I know Valentina is going to drop Nikki's link in here right now. We already have yeses, Nikki, so I think we're going to have to try to set up something for the future.
awesome. I'm excited to come back. Yes.
Wonderful. So Valentina is going to drop information in here right now, but Nikki, tell us, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to be able to talk to you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is you can download my free guide, 3 simple things to do to flatten your tummy and get rid of the muffin top. That's one of the best ways that you can get into contact with me. Another way is you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Nikki, NIKI_TAIFITNESS. So Nikki at Thai Fitness is my Instagram. And then you can also find me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page. It is at Thai Fitness Training. And not sure if you guys put the link down, but
yeah, we'll make sure we get everything in there for everybody.
Okay, perfect. And then I do have a group. Of course, if you do download the guide, you'll get a link to that group and you can come into my community. We have a wealth of like free workouts, free resources for people to help them get started. And of course, I'm talking chakras in there as well. So if that was something that interests you, we talk a lot about like reducing inflammation and different ways to reset our hormones but also reset our metabolism as well. So if that's something that resonates with you, feel free to download my free guide. And you can also join my community. It's called Weight Loss and Wellness Solutions Community. So I can give Debbie the link if
wonderful.
That way it makes it a little bit easier too, if you just want to join the community and see what's happening in there too.
I love it. I love it. Well, we'll make sure that we get all of that information right below this video so you guys can just click on it, grab what you need. And Nikki and I will chat later about, because I have enough Nikki's here that that we're definitely going to be talking about yoga again. So we'll make sure we get something on the calendar for as soon as possible so that we can continue this conversation because it was so amazing. So Nikki, thank you again for being here. Thank you for sharing all of your amazing information, because let's face it, it takes a village to keep all of us healthy. And it's wonderful to be able to share everyone's expertise to bring these women one step closer to their migraine freedom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It has been a pleasure. I'm excited about coming on again and speaking with all of you. This was an amazing experience. I love talking about what we talked about tonight. Like you said, I could talk for hours, but we'll keep it short just because it's a lot of information too. So.
we try to keep it short anyway. I don't do a very good job at doing that. Like I say, I'm constantly over delivering. And you'll all have to excuse me for getting up and moving in the middle, but I was a little afraid that light in the background was going to be blinding you. That's why I moved. But anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I greatly appreciate your time.